We're off. I have arrived.
He has arrived. Ooh, that's hot. Hi, and welcome back to
Inspired the Game. I'm Sean.
And I'm Lola, and you're here with us today for our very special edition for Halloween, if you could tell from around us. What we want to do today is discuss with you some of our favorite spooky themed games to play during the month of October. So we have a little list, and we are going to start with the easiest and the simplest, Gloom. Gloom is a card game with transparent cards. Each player has a family in front of them, and the idea is you want to make them as miserable as you possibly can before you kill them. Meanwhile, everybody else around you wants to make them happy. The rats. Now, the thing that I like about Gloom is you tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually what makes it fun. It can actually be boring, but sometimes it can be really fun as we're seeing the ridiculous things that happen with our different characters.
Yeah, there's a lot of improv and one-upmanship, not only in trying to make that other family happy, but also explaining, well, how is it that they were just being nibbled on by rats, but now they're happy, happy, happy.
Happy, happy. So our next game for you today is...
So our next game is Don't Go In There. It's a brand new game that came out recently. It's for 2 to 5 players. You're a group of friends that are in a haunted house. You're trapped inside. You have to gather cursed items to complete a ritual so that you can unlock the front door and get out. It's great. The box becomes your dice tower. The dice glow in the dark. It's a lot of fun collecting things and trying to become the least cursed individual and win the game.
Yeah, we really enjoy this one. It's a very light game. It's nice to play with the whole family,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really fun how the entire box with the inset inside, the inset that holds everything, is the inner mechanism of the dice tower, and it's really fun to play with. We play this one all year long, although we only got it like a couple months ago, so we play it all month long. Well, sometimes. Our next game for you today is Horrified. Horrified is a 1 to 5 player game, which is cooperative, where you are working to fight off the classic Hollywood monsters.
The Wolfman, the Mummy, Creature from the Black Lagoon, the Invisible Man, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and each monster has its own mechanism to defeat it. That's almost like a little mini game in and of itself. It's really fun to play with kids. It says 10 plus. We played it with our kids when they were 8. It's fun as a cooperative, simple little light game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So next we've had Mysterium. It's another cooperative game. One person plays a ghost who's delivering visions to the rest of the players who are psychics. It's actually set in the narrative on Halloween night because that's when the veil is thinnest and communication is possible. The cards are really interesting with the artwork and trying to interpret what the ghost player is trying to tell you because they're not allowed to speak to you, to help you identify the suspect and the place and the weapon that is involved with the ghost's murder. And in the end, you all have to agree and vote to what was the crime, where was the crime, and see if you got it right and if you all win.
Yeah, and it's a really great game for creativity, also great for the whole family as well. But it's really interesting to see how people interpret cards. So maybe the ghost is giving you cards that are related to a color of the card that they're trying to show you towards, or maybe it's an item. Maybe they both have a flame in it. Maybe they both have a watch in it, or something like that. It makes it a fun adventure. It's if you play Dixit, it's kind of like Dixit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and on that note, there's also Mysterium Park, which is essentially the same game, but it's set in a carnival setting instead. It has arguably better artwork in Mysterium Park, and it's also a much shorter setup and easier setup. So it's more of a streamlined game. So throughout the year, we actually play Mysterium Park much more than we play Mysterium. But Mysterium does have more of a spooky Halloween-y feel, so that's usually our choice for the month of October.
Yeah.
Which one are we on? Because
Betrayal.
that was Betrayal. Okay, so our next, thank you, on the list is Betrayal at House on the Hill. This is a tile laying cooperative game until it's not. In this game, you and your band of intrepid explorers are venturing into a haunted house. You explore room by room, and you might come across omens or objects, and sometimes events, they're usually bad, will happen along the way. And at some point, the haunt gets triggered. And when that happens, one player will have to go off on their own and read from a book the scenario and what they're supposed to do because now they are the traitor. The other group will get together and know what they need to do on their side. And now it's a battle to the death, usually. And that's how that game goes.
And speaking of traders, our next game is Dead of Winter. So in this game, we usually play it cooperatively, but it is designed to be a semi-cooperative game where there is a trader mechanic. Um, you can exile players if you suspect that they're working against the group, but basically you're a group of survivors wandering around the town, gathering supplies, weapons, whatever you need to keep yourselves safe from the zombie horde and complete the main objective of whichever you've chosen for the storyline. Each turn there's a narrative choice to be made. It's a lot of fun, and there's plenty of expansions, lots of material to play with.
That's one of our spookier games to play. It's very thematic and very immersive. One thing I actually really love about it. So you can starve, so you have to keep everybody fed. You have to think about all the tools you need. You go out to different locations like the library or the police station or the school or the hospital. Events can happen wherever you are at any given time, and you search for items, but you always have to roll to see, do you get bitten, do you get frostbite,
Mm-hmm.
are bad things happening? And usually we win this game, but just by the skin of our teeth. So it's very thematic and fun. Yeah. Our next game for you is Mansions of Madness. We keep this one to the end because it's pretty much the longest and heaviest of this list. In Mansions of Madness, it is a cooperative game, scenario based. So it's also an app based game. To play it, you will be loading up the app, choosing your scenario. There are ones of different lengths. So some are 2 to 3 hours of play. There are ones that are 4 to 6 hours of play, and possibly even longer. It's tiling. So with your scenario, you'll start with one opening tile, and then as you explore rooms and various places on the property, you will find objects, you will get clues, you will start to uncover the mystery. There are even hidden puzzles sometimes, like maybe you have to solve some kind of a mini puzzle in order to open a locked box. But as things go, you start to get horrors emerging from the deep, and it's always very dark, and it's always very difficult and sometimes a little spooky to play.
It's set in the Arkham horror universe, so you're battling basically Cthulhu and those kind of denizens of the Elder Realms, I guess.
And those are the games that we tend to play every October. It makes Halloween and this season so much more thematic for us. And as we gear up towards Halloween night, we decide which ones we're going to play when. There are some honorable mentions we have as well that don't necessarily we aren't necessarily playing them all the time. But one is Stuffed Fables. Stuffed Fables is a story-driven campaign game where you use a book. So it's literally a storybook that you're playing, and you're fighting a child's nightmares. So it's nice and thematic for Halloween. There's some really nice miniatures that go along with it. But because it's campaign game, it's something that you're going to want to play in close proximity, one game after another, because otherwise, and we found this happen to us, you forget what's happening in the story and then you have to start all over again. So it could be a great one if you want to pull it out in October to just spend the month playing through a campaign. It's a fun game as well. Another one is Tiny Epic Zombies in the Tiny Epic universe. And
Tiny boxes, huge playing surfaces.
there are also the escape games. You'll find some horror themed games in some of them, like the Exits, the Escape the Rooms, the Escape Rooms. Ones of note that we've played are the Cursed Dollhouse, as well as what was the other one? The Catacombs of Horror. those we highly recommend. They are a one-time play, but October is a really fantastic time to decide to play them.
There is one another honorable mention in the escape room realm, Escape Tales: The Awakening. It plays like an escape room where there are various puzzles, but there are actually many different storylines and many different endings you can explore. I don't think we found a good one yet,
Yeah,
actually.
no, we have not found a good one yet. But it's like a choose your own adventure
Mm.
book, essentially, but in a game. And yeah, you never know what's going to be the right choice, just like it. So it's telling a story. Yeah. And I think that's it for what we usually play at Halloween. We would love to hear what your Halloween or October spooky themed favorite games are. Please comment down below and let us know. We'd love to hear that out. We do have some upcoming Kickstarters that we're hoping to have in time for next Halloween, including the Stifling Dark, which is a current Kickstarter campaign. So check that out if that's something you're interested in, as well as like Bedeville Carnival, Nightmare Cathedral, and a few other ones that might be delivered pretty soon. So thanks for joining us today, and we hope that you have a very spooky month and enjoy all your spooky game playing. Happy gaming, folks.
Bye bye.